Welcome to the Filmistines, the double feature podcast. Join us as we unravel the interwoven experience and continuous conversation of cinema. Take part in pairing movies with their cursed counterparts, movies that share DNA, or even pairing questionable duos by joining our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. We offer tiers at the $1, $5, and $20 level, where the $5 tier grant the ability to request films to further the discussion. So grab some popcorn, sit back, and get ready to join the 100-year conversation. This is the Filmistines, where movies are more than just entertainment, they're an experience. And welcome back to another episode of the Filmistines. Thank you guys for joining us today. Today I'm joined by my wild friend, Lucy.
Hello, everyone.
You can join us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for brand new episodes of the Filmistines. Some recent episodes include The Warriors, Godzilla Cross Kong, 2005's King Kong, 21 Jump Street, and Superbad. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas over on our Patreon at patreon.com/Filmistines. Come right in. Come request a movie. Come subscribe for $1, $5, $1 million.
Ooh.
We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much.
Are you stressed and filled with anxiety like I am? Maybe in a bit of pain from that car accident you had a few years ago? Well, the sponsor of today's episode, Hempville CBD, has us covered. They have the highest quality products created by chemists and doctors. Hempville carries everything from CBD to THC dispensary grade without those despicable dispensary prices. Order your Delta 8, 9 edibles and vapes along with the THCA flower and get free shipping when you spend $50 or more at HempvilleCBD.com. Check out the link in the description for more details.
But today we are discussing Dev Patel's directorial debut, his 2024 film, Monkey Man. I just wanted to start off by saying that this is the movie to beat for 2024 for me. This was a super surprising movie. I really liked the format, and I liked the not so subtle socio-political commentary, I guess, for the mystery of better words right now, because I'm very curious what you think of Monkey Man.
I'm almost there with you. I mean, this was a really good movie, and I'm surprised this movie was at the movie theater. Like this type of movie, you know. I really liked all the action sequences, and I mean, this is a fighting movie. Despite what it's got to say, there's a lot of fighting in here that I really enjoyed. And I really enjoyed the simplicity of the story, because no matter how it's told or what else it has to say, it's still a very simple, good-natured story. But I was pleasantly surprised. It was a really fun watch.
I don't think I've ever seen a pairing of action and what else is going on in such a simpatico kind of way, because of what this movie is fighting to say requires a little fight in the individual to achieve what's wrong, to fight modern evils. The first thing that really stuck out to me in this movie was the structure of it and how we're really dropped in the deep end and we have to piece together why anything for about 45 minutes probably, right?
Yeah.
It's super neat in that we're asking why at the same time he's asking why. He spends, these moments in the movie while we're experiencing it with him of him trying to get revenge, okay? But he's not just getting revenge on or for an individual. He's attacking the idea and representation of authority and oppression. And so it demands cinematically and culturally more out of someone to do this than just get revenge on his mom or even his community.
Right. It's like when he's trying to get revenge, it's not exactly working out. He's not getting that revenge like he should be. He's obviously prepping for it. He's, studying his targets. He's investing in it. But just something's not letting him fully get the vengeance he wants, because he's missing that deeper connection to why he's even doing this in the first place.
So let me tell you a little thought I have of the early through line of why. It's an internal civil war of frustration with one's place in the world and not understanding that the pain is from ripping one from their roots. And yes, that is literally depicted in the movie, but even more explicitly shown through the division between these like elite authority type folks, the face of India, I guess here, and the rest of the people.
Yeah, I think there's one line where he says, in this city, the rich don't see us as people. I think he's telling that to his little friend, Alfonso.
What did you think about the Hanuman, like, through line of him being our monkey man?
Yeah, I'm not sure I got it 100%. It's not as clear as other movies that start out their movies with a story. It's very representative to that movie. I mean, I'm kind of blinking right now on other movies that do that besides Shrek. I don't know why Shrek always pops up as that movie that starts with a book, but it does, and it's fairy tales, and then Shrek rips the page and he's like, that's a load of shit. And then the movie continues to be about fairy tale creatures and all the shit. So, very what the book says, it's what's gonna happen. And this movie was not at all like that. And I wasn't quite sure where we were headed with it when it first started, and it didn't wrap up nicely in a bow. So maybe I still have to do my homework a little bit on that.
Well, maybe this conversation will help iron some of that out for me and you. I think it's obvious that the elite, we'll just call them the elite, the authority, are the representatives of our gods. We have an infiltrator who is obviously the monkey man. That's pretty explicit.
Yeah, that one I got.
And he, yes, depending on how you look at the story, I guess, does steal the sun, right? At least the story we're told in the movie, he kind of accidentally steals the sun. Maybe depending on how it's told, you get kind of different perspectives on it.
Yeah, I mean, he thought it was a mango, so he ate it.
Sounds like an accident to me.
Yeah.
But I took this as this fire inside of us that the authority, the elites, don't want us to have. They don't want us to be able to organize and, maybe stir conflict, but more importantly, to organize and form community and something separate from their image of us and our future, right? And so they protect it. They're preserving it for themselves. They're pretending something like that doesn't exist. It's just, but the kid, I think that's what they're calling him on the billing. Dev Patel's character infiltrates through other means because he wants revenge. But in the process, he learns something deeper about himself and the separation between these two peoples of the same cloth, because they're not actually gods. They're a representation of modernity and their vices, and these things that are pulling us further and further apart from what brought us here in the first place, our culture and humanity. And depending on who you ask, that could be anything, right?
Right.
Today, modernity intersects with that a lot, and that, I think, is kind of the defense and cry that Dev Patel is trying to demonstrate here, that there almost needs to be this like separation of state and church thing happening between culture and modernity. And he infiltrates, learns this without explicitly learning it. There's no textbook, right? But he gets that perseverance and fire inside him to truly do something about it. And that's attack the heart of this corruption that has turned into manufactured corruption. I don't think Dev Patel's intentionally saying that modernity is in itself evil, but that it has manufactured evils that are kind of perpetuating certain divides in the community. And that's one of the really amazing things I think this movie actually really succeeds at, is because I imagine if you are familiar with the mythology in India or surrounding countries a little bit more, you could probably pull something even way crazier out of this, which would be awesome. But there's something very just human about it, and that will forever exist because modernity has always, I think, been kind of a bully for what was already there. And whether it's good or bad, you can never really say, but in retrospect, right? I guess sometimes it's a little more obvious, radical ideas or sometimes very explicitly not great ideas, but I hope that's kind of making sense. But so the elites are withholding the sun in this specific Monkey Man story, instead of, the Monkey Man just kind of stumbling into, oh, I ate the sun. All right, now you gotta be punished for what you've done. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So all in all, I think that why is actually, in retrospect, especially very fun. of why any of this was happening in the first 40, 45, 50 minutes, because we're kind of sharing this space with Dev Patel's character and learning it for ourselves that problems and the lack of simpaticoness kind of exist and are hurting and increasingly dividing us.
How did you feel about the pacing in that first 40 whatever minutes it was when we're trying to find out why he's doing anything he's doing? I felt like some of the flashbacks were maybe a bit too much, too long. I know they were trying to establish the chaoticness of our character, and even with that, there were also a lot of like camera angles and maybe perspective switches that were also a bit too much.
Yeah, the editing and cinematography were over the top throughout the whole movie. That's actually pretty wild, which I love, actually. Fighting in movies suffers from bad editing a lot.
Yeah.
It's hard to capture, I get it, especially when you don't have great choreography and actual fighters doing their thing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not that it's a pass, but it's something that I can just glaze over because it's so just bleh. The editing here is awesome. I don't know why but I will say the flashbacks were a little too much. I agree. We should have had those first couple setup ones to kind of establish, these thoughts in his head, but don't show us too much and then give us the reveal later and be like, oh shit, he killed his mom and stuff. It'll be really cinematic and dramatic in that way.
Yeah, I wasn't sure if it was like supposed to represent a little bit of his obsessiveness with it.
I mean, I think it exactly was. I think it was supposed to keep us on track that there isn't a greater point here within him right now.
Mm-hmm.
And he's going to learn, that he can fight for something bigger than himself, including himself, right? But was it a little much? It's hard to say, right? It's really hard to say. I can't imagine them not being there. Now I need to rewatch it and think a little bit more about the scenes like that, but I'm with you. Those were a little, I don't know, they felt a little, it's kind of funny to say, but maybe they felt a little heavy-handed in that they wanted to keep us on track. They didn't have a lot of faith in where our minds were at. And in retrospect, you can almost excuse it a little bit because they set you up for something that's unlike the second half of the movie.
Mm-hmm.
So I can kind of get wanting to keep that as straight as possible. He's a singular focused man. It's a revenge tale on this individual, the chief of police, but then he discovers the fire. He discovers the sun. He discovers community. He discovers completeness. So I'm definitely going to have to marinate on that a little bit more, no doubt. I'm with you, though. I was thinking the same thing.
Yeah, I almost impulsively wanted to say that it was a bit manipulative to keep giving us that, and in the end showing us what happened, being
Absolutely.
like, oh my God. But because of that change in the end, it's like, okay, no, that's not the only thing they were doing in this entire film. So I don't think it's manipulative any longer. I think there's something to say there, but the only thing I could get from it was that obsessiveness.
Yeah.
But then, does that justify it? Not sure. Again, I think I'm with you on I'd have to rewatch it. To
be honest, I don't know. I kind of go back and forth with this. Because when you look at Dev Patel, he looks like he's tormented by his demons inside. He's got this glassy face. It looks like he's going to start crying.
Yep.
He looks awesome. It's just, but that's maybe so subjective. So explicitly kind of demonstrating those demons can guarantee, if you're paying attention, okay, this, he's obviously obsessed. He's obviously on a super revenge story. It's just completely dogmatic, and he's just on this kind of John Wick mission, and he's not all that capable. It's kind of dumb when it comes to it, which I like. I like that he has to go through this almost anime-like thing where he's underpowered, and then he loses to the bad guy, and the bad guy's like, well, I guess he runs away here, but, he's kind of like, you'll never get me. And then he goes and powers up and kills everyone with his spirit bomb.
So with you saying that, one of my questions was he losing these fights, these wrestling matches, whatever they were, on purpose? And he knew that he could hustle in the end? You actually think that he just wasn't capable of winning any of these?
Yeah, when you look at him, you're like, of course he could kick someone's ass.
Exactly.
I get that. He's got like that outsiders kind of body, or I should say Patrick Swayze kind of body, where he's just got muscles on muscles. He's like super lean and just 99.99% muscle. So you're like, yeah.
And he's pretty clever.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's kind of a funny thing. I get that totally, but I do think he was just not a fighter.
Or were they staged that he had to lose no matter what?
Sure.
To get the money.
So what is up with the fight scenes? They're kind of a central piece to the first half of the movie, and then they
bring him back.
They bring him back, and they bring some culture to the movie ultimately, and some like personality to his character. But there's something very explicit about it, right? He's in like a gorilla mask and a monkey mask, and he's the monkey man. Is there symbolically something to his losing? Is there something symbolic to him having to overcome the challenge? Is there something symbolic in like the manufacturedness of it? I can't quite place it.
Yeah, I'm with you. Because at the end, one of his little boys, one of his little informants, decides to place all his money on him. Decides to, bet on him. Which I didn't know if that was like okay, now it's let's have our faith in him or what, because he originally knew what kind of person he was. I don't know. I can't quite place that either.
I guess I'm kind of leaning towards the manufactured nature of it, of not him intentionally losing, but having this performative element to just build attraction and, bring the money in and stuff.
Right. Because if you want that next job, you have to do what they're telling you to do.
Yeah.
So yeah, I wasn't quite sure either. Although I did like that the introduction with these matches really set that grittiness and dirtiness to the movie. I don't know if I would have quite gotten that with the city. I mean, yes, the city was, in itself very gritty, but adding that underground fighting element to it, I think really helped.
And also in the beginning, first half of the film, it helps separate itself from like a secret society type thing, because he seemed to be well connected with all these people, and grounding it in a performative event like this, underground fighting, people come and bet, and it's just, sports. It helped kind of separate it from something like a John Wick, so you didn't get a little mixed up with like, oh, we got, this very connected guy trying to infiltrate some elites, right? He seems very capable. He's not. He has to, go through trials and tribulations. But we had these little touchstones, meaningful touchstones too, not just there to separate us from a John Wick. They're self-aware enough of John Wick to even reference him.
Mm-hmm.
Dangerous business, but it works. It's charming. It's fine. Like we weren't even close to intersecting with John Wick. I mean, speaking of which, I know someone who sold the film, the rights to Netflix, sold it as John Wick in Mumbai or whatever, which is completely wrong.
Yes, I agree.
John Wick 1's great and all, but
I guess on paper, it is a vengeance story start that turns into a little bit more of a purpose, but...
And I would imagine a trailer coming out. I didn't see any trailers, but a trailer coming out of this would probably look a little bit like John Wick or something. And it's, John Wick kind of gritty too, and it's moody and brooding and yada yada. So I get it, but Netflix didn't know what to do with it, so they actually sold it to Jordan Peele's guys. They ended up saving the film. It almost lost its way several times throughout its production.
Well, that's good. Good job, Jordan Peele, for saving this movie.
What do you think about the longest chase scene ever made? In between, the first and second half, we have this like 10-minute interstitial chase scene. He's chased. It pauses for like a minute, and you're like, okay, it's done. And then the chase picks back up. It's just like, what is this movie? It's very cool.
No, I really like that, especially that he was handcuffed. Because I feel like in other fighting scenes, if we were to have a handcuff moment, they would cleverly find some way to get the handcuffs off and then keep going and keep running and fighting or whatever. But here, he never has a chance to do that. I thought the handcuffs were going to come out when that guy at that like kind of brothel looking place with the axe, I thought he was going to accidentally chop the handcuffs off of him, but he didn't. And I was like, okay, I thought that's why we were introducing him here. And I don't know, it felt kind of fun to do that, and it felt like it hasn't been quite done like that.
No, totally. John Wick would have used the axe as that guy was swinging it to cut him off.
Yes,
no doubt. We've been watching too much John Wick. Not everybody's as capable as him.
And with that being said, I really loved all the fighting, especially the fighting with non-traditional fighting objects. I really liked that. I thought the bleach cocaine was super clever, and I thought the homemade fireworks at the end were super clever.
Yeah, I don't know if that's just super Indian or what. Are we getting a little Jackie Chan in there? It's super, super fun.
Yeah.
And
it's no longer super choreographed. It just feels more like if you were fighting in that moment.
Yeah, it's the fighting's not beautiful. It's just like this real organic thing and creates this element of danger, right? When we're watching John Wick, it's like a dance. We are not in fear for John Wick.
Exactly.
We're rooting for John Wick to murder hundreds and hundreds of people throughout the film, right? Of course, Dev Patel's not going to die, but there is something very kind of improvised and spontaneous about it for sure. I can't help but to think Jackie Chan, because that's what we got over here with him.
Yeah. Yeah, those are good words. Spontaneous.
So the second half of the movie becomes extremely explicitly political, at least as far as the movie goes. I don't know about actual ties to Indian politics, surrounding areas of politics, but I'm a person of modernity, so it speaks to me all the same. But I love this section where we have these people save the Monkey Man. They show him their like half and half god. I don't know their names, but the god of devotion and the god of destruction. Love it. There's a completeness here too that I love a lot. Hear me out. I'm not a scholar of Hindu religion, mythology, but the god of devotion in combination with the god of destruction to me indicates humanity, humans. And I love that there's this like community church-like structure of, I guess, trans folks, because there's a interesting completeness there that I would have never guessed to ever happen in my life of watching movies, but there's this representation, literal representation within a human of male and female, all in one. There's a completeness here of all of humanity in an individual, and there's, several individuals, because you can't have a community of one. So there's this community of trans folks who take the Monkey Man under and care for him, and he trains there, and it's a great scene, him punching the rice bag and stuff. It's all real fun. But it got me thinking, okay, the god of devotion and the god of destruction. So what does the god of devotion and the god of creation look like? And to me, it looks like enlightenment and togetherness, which looks like culture to me, which help kind of shape the Monkey Man's fire, which we literally see him opening his chest. It's very cool. It's very fun, very over the top. With the background of the completeness of the human form through trans people is a monumental moment, I think, in storytelling. But it also got me thinking, okay, God of devotion and God of destruction. Okay, we have that. God of creation and God of devotion. Okay, we have that. What about God of destruction and God of creation together in one? And like, okay, that sounds like traditional God. That was Jesus Christ. Or his daddy, at least. But that literally is authority. Letting what can and cannot happen. Which creates control and fear. Which we see manufactured right before us with the chief of police and
the guru guy. Baba, what's his name?
Is his name Baba?
Baba Shakti.
And therefore I was very like, is there a trifecta of interest here in the Hindu religion? I don't know. Again, I am not a scholar of anything on India, truthfully. But there was this completeness forming in this movie that sells everything from every angle. Because up until the end of the first act, there is this groundedness and, okay, this could be a real situation, not so metaphorical or allegorical. But when we're introduced to the half and half God, half devotion, half destruction, I'm like, oh, okay. Backed by trans folks, oh, here's our completeness. Oh, here's our purpose. Here's our shaped and molded fire. Here's the war against culture and modernity.
Yeah, that's very well thought out. I did not put that much thought into all these gods and stuff. I'm even worse than you are. At least some of these things. I don't. I don't know. I just don't. But what I do know is that it was such a beautiful representation of saving and finding this overall purpose to not only save the poor, but to save the different, to save these trans people, to save even, his girl that we kind of get a little hint of. All these, girls who are there, they're prostitutes. Maybe most of them don't want to be there, but feel like they have to be there. And he's just here for the fight of life.
He's here for the fight for what's worth living for.
Exactly. And what I also really liked is that we have something kind of taboo, such as trans people, and not making it this agenda, not making it almost gross to be fighting for or against. I personally don't care what you are, just be, a decent human being. But nobody was fighting to open your eyes about anything. It was just so well done, so classy in a way. I don't know, and I'm sure there's a more religious or different kind of meaning behind the trans in other cultures, especially here. And I, again, don't know much about that. That is probably something that's going right over my head that maybe I should look a little bit more into. And maybe applying it here to the movie, because I was just baffled with how just heartwarming that whole entire sequence was, with him being there and being protected by them, and just the main trans leader here, and how he was explaining that, they were one of the last communities to be destroyed because the police was unsettled by them. And just hearing him say that was just it was just weird and cool and just awesome. Especially that whole training session. That was pretty cool.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Especially from what I gathered from it, there's something symbolic about the trans person.
Yeah.
That's very neat. And at the same time very classy, like you said, in that it's not agenda driven. There's something deeply symbolic about them, in that they are the middle Venn diagram section of what humanity has to offer on the basis level.
Yeah.
I mean, through the perspective of this Monkey Man story, they are perhaps the truest form of humanity, representing both sides. It's kind of funny to think about, Dev Patel's hitting the sack of rice with his shirt off, and he's directing these people to like ooh and awe at him.
That's funny.
I love it.
All right, now when I take my shirt off, y'all cheer. Okay.
That's awesome.
And if he would have made any other kind of movie, I almost would have just been like, ugh, he's conceited. But no, him making this type of movie just makes me think of how fun of a person he is.
I mean, for real, it's so over the top in the best way. I mean, you can't help but to believe that. Where has this guy been when it comes to making movies? How is this his first movie?
Exactly.
We have great directors who have really amazing first outings. Robert Eggers, Ari Aster, obviously, Jordan Peele, right? But there is something about this movie that is on a whole nother level of production. This movie's unbelievable in that way.
No, I completely agree. Not only did you feel like you need to say something, you said it and you had fun with it and you didn't make it agenda driven.
Yeah, the only agenda is to
stop being so selfish. Find something worth living for. I don't know.
defend your roots, embrace tradition, embrace each other.
Embrace
Maybe
each other.
more importantly, yeah.
Yeah, because I think something you said, not in this episode, maybe while we were watching the movie, the first time we ever saw him laugh and have fun and just completely let go was when he was in that trans community after he had embraced everything and went through that whole healing process with that drug, with that root. I don't know what it was, that powder that he blew on his face and he went on his whole little thing. After that, that was the first time we saw him let go and just have fun.
Yeah, and other people. Because the other people we see are either kind of connected and organized with him and just on the mission and whatever. But the pedestrian people, the people on the side of the streets and stuff, all of them are like down in the dumps.
Mm-hmm.
They're all quiet and keep to themselves. There's not a lot of community going on. And that bothers our main character.
Yeah.
That there's this divide and that there's even this loss of humanity within people too. That the high life is the life, and when it's not the life. Did you see anyone having the time of their life at that club or eating dinner or whatever?
No.
Was anyone laughing, singing, carrying, being stupid? We did in the trans community with the guy on the drums being stupid. It was awesome. It's almost like, holding on to your youth and remembering to play. Don't grow up completely.
Yeah, let go of some of that anger.
And I love that while this whole, at least second half is happening, we get these like real close-up shots of like the Monkey Man story from the mural that's at the very end of the movie. Very neat, super over the top. I love that happens right in front of the mural. He kills Baba.
Yeah, it's all very well put together. It's a very cohesive movie.
And I can't remember exactly what Baba said because I can't go and find it because I saw it at the movies. But he says some really insightful things. He's still very thoughtful person. He's just kind of on the wrong side of history scenario.
Mm-hmm.
But also still a believer of his bullshit and the people who represent him.
Yeah.
And that probably has everything to do with him, tasting the high life. He's one of them now. He climbed the ladder.
Yeah, he climbed the ladder and needed to find a way to justify what he's doing. Because I think one of the things he says, and I might butcher it a little bit, but the message still there is he's wearing these sandals, and on the outside of those sandals, he tells us a story about how he's apologizing for all the lives he's killing, stepping on bugs and whatnot with these sandals. And he brings that as a metaphor to this is essentially what he's doing. He's killing all these lives for something better. Like a massage place. I don't know what he said. Some kind of place like that.
Yeah.
Which is why I think Monkey Man's village was destroyed. So they could build on top of it.
And everybody's susceptible to it, to losing touch with kind of what you once used to believe. You're maybe smart enough to morph what you're doing into something that still aligns with your core values of why you got here in the first place. And Baba even basically warns him that this is how things are and always will be, and you're me. And the cycle is going to continue.
Which catches him off guard, and that's when he managed to get him.
Yeah.
He's like, wait, what? I gotta think about that.
It reminded me of Daenerys saying the thing about the spokes early on in Game of Thrones where all these people who are trying to displace one another, trying to become king and queen of the 7 kingdoms or whatever, and she wants to crush the wheel to eliminate the cycle. There almost might be some kind of implication of inevitable kind of entropy and corruption, too. Because Baba may have been just like the Monkey Man. Maybe Baba was our previous Monkey Man.
Yeah, there's something to be said there. I can't see our Monkey Man doing a commercial like Baba did in the beginning. That cracked me up. That was awesome. But again, we never know. Yeah. Which I hope not. I like these feel-good movies to leave me on that message.
But it does open up that door to question the natural evolution of culture does change, right? Modernity does displace some of what once was and becomes what once was. And then the cycle continues. But it's almost tradition and culture's duty to humble modernity and to put it through, the trials and tribulations of whether or not it's going to push us towards enlightenment,
Yeah. Yeah, I really like that. I really like what you're saying too, because it's also, and I think you said this in the beginning, it's also not modernity's fault. Just like when people say money is the root of all evil. Like, no, money's not the problem. Money can be very, very good, very useful. It can serve a lot. It's just back to the traditions, back to the fundamentals, back to your principles and your morals.
And how much you've let these little nuggets of corruption kind of take hold in you.
Yeah.
Right? Because it's the old adage of how much our demons have control over us, right? Babadook, right? Babadook?
There it is.
That's what the whole movie is about.
That's what it is.
And we've all experienced that in some way or another. Because the old new adage of today is you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. Batman.
Damn.
I think that's Batman, right?
I don't know. I thought the motto of today was be or not be a Karen.
Damn. I've never heard that.
I haven't either. I just made that up.
Oh, that's funny.
I guess before we wrap up here, I want to mention 2 of my favorite scenes. The first one is when he teaches the dog to bring him the gun. That was awesome. That whole montage was really fun, and just what a great use of a dog. I mean,
totally.
And even that girl saying,
yes,
like, don't feed it because it'll come back. And
I had a thought in my head, maybe he didn't know that. And she said that, and he was like, really? Okay.
Genius.
Yeah. Knew exactly what he was going to do. That's what kind of went through my head, that maybe he didn't know.
That's funny.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, that just brings his personality to the front, that he's just this giving person. He's going to, of course, feed a dog. He's going to feed someone who's hungry. And then this girl's like, well, it's going to come back. He's like, wait, I have an idea. So, yeah, I like that. I like that thought. And my other favorite scene, which was just so well done, everything, how it was shot, the cinematography, the score while this was playing. I mean, everything in the scene was just complete awesome. And it was when they stole Queenie's purse, and that blind man was running into her and stole it and then threw it and then
that was awesome.
Tossed up. And oh my God, that was awesome. I don't know if I've ever seen anything like that. It was so cool. I was just enjoying watching that whole sequence. I don't know. I probably had like the stupid grin on my face.
One of my favorite over-the-top cinematographic moments was when we were getting the shots through these like reflective little party circles when he was doing his final action sequence. I couldn't believe what I was watching. It was so awesome. And I haven't seen many like Indian films. And I know Dev is not like proper Indian. He's of Britain and well-traveled guy of, while being young and going to school in different places and stuff like that. So he's got a lot of different perspectives on different Indian cultures, probably, including his roots and stuff. Probably, obviously. I'm sure he's very much connected to where he's from. It'd be kind of ironic if he wasn't. But, and the only other big Indian movie I've seen is RRR, which
Same.
shares something in common with this and being way over the top and just overstuffed. And I don't mean overstuffed as in like kind of losing control of an overstuffed thing. I'm thinking more of like an overstuffed potato, right? Where it's just delicious, you got too much sour cream, too much cheese, but not really, you say too much to be like, oh, I got too much, but it's actually delicious. You know what I mean?
No, I'm right there with you. And one of the other things about Indian culture that just hops to my mind is the partying and the weddings. And I don't know if you've ever seen any Indian weddings, but they're just so over the top and just so beautiful. And just, the bride is just dressed in such a dramatic way. I mean, not only the gown and whatever outfit she's wearing, which, that's true here and anywhere. That's the most important thing to the bride is her dress, but also all the jewelry, all the decorations, all the piercings, all the head thingies. I mean, it's so, so dramatic and over the top in a fun way, in an appreciative way. And I feel you. RRR is also one of the only Indian movies I've seen. I'd have to go back and look really, but at least that's the most recent one I've seen. And there's something there about that extraness that just fits.
It fits a big message, right?
Yeah.
It fits something like colonialization or oppression, right? They're matching it, marrying it with something just as big symbolically helps sell it a little bit more, and it's very fucking neat. I also like that his forced friend, Alfonso, place in this. He just was being friendly. No one likes him. Dev's character's like, I'll be your friend, but he's using him, sort of. And then he's got that crazy 3-wheeler car that's got nitrous. It's so over the top. It's so fun. I love it. It's awesome. This movie's awesome. This is, for me, the movie to beat this year.
Yeah. I'm with you. I mean, I guess about his friend, I do like that he's got also this sad backstory, and we can kind of loop him in with these trans communities and these girls that don't want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And
Totally.
I don't know, it's when I heard his story, I feel like in any other movie I would have been like, yeah, you coward, why are you running away from a drug deal? But in this movie, it was just so sad. And like, why are we blaming this man for trying to live and survive? I don't know. Just some of the things in this movie that if I would have watched in any other movie, I don't feel like would have done it as well as it happened here because of that message. So I'm with you. This is one of the best movies so far.
Is it better than
Don't ask me that.
Godzilla Cross Kong?
Don't ask me that. You're not gonna like my answer. No, the answer is no. I'm still on a high from Kong, Cross, Godzilla. Ask me at the end of the year.
All right, I will. All right, man. Well, thank you very much for watching this movie with me and talking about it here today.
You're welcome.
Do you have a budget guess for me?
I'm guessing 15 million. I don't know what.
Sure.
I don't know. This is just a guess because it's a first timer here. We do have a lot of moving pieces, but it was also shot, I don't know where, not here. I think it was shot in Indonesia, so I don't know how much you got to spend there. I just don't know. I don't know.
Dev broke his hand like the first day of shooting.
Oh yeah, I did see that. I saw an interview with him and Jimmy Fallon, and he talked a little bit about that, how he broke his hand and then they didn't have the money to stop filming and to go get him treated, so they just put a little like nail where he broke it to fix it temporarily, and they were like, okay, it's temporary fix, you can continue, but just don't put like more than 2 pounds of force on it. And then he finished the rest of the movie putting God knows what on his hand. And then the crew actually made t-shirts of his x-ray scan, which was funny. And he went and brought one to Jimmy, and he's like, well, I got you a shirt, man. And now Jimmy Fallon has a shirt with his x-rayed on it, which is funny.
That's awesome. Yeah, I think that $10-15 million range for directorial debuts of any scale seemed to be pretty right. And it says here that it was $10 million.
Okay.
So, okay. Yeah. It's still at theaters, but right now it's made $23 million. So it's probably good to go. It's probably making good money now.
That's good. I'm very curious to see what the Letterboxd score is. I have not given it one. I'm still marinating.
And over on Letterboxd with 149,000 people, I feel like that's a good number already. That's not reflected in the box office, though. should be higher. What are you guys doing?
Well, I haven't given it a score, so we're just marinating.
They weighed in at 3.8.
Okay, that's pretty good.
And a lot of the comments there say just how hot Dev Patel is. So I don't know if it's just
That's all we got.
it's inflated because of how hot he is or what.
I feel like once you take your shirt off and someone's whooping in excitement, you're asking for it. That's your reviews, man. That's what you got. But it's funny. No insightfulness yet. Maybe it's got to release somewhere.
Yeah, maybe. I think I'm landing around a 4.0. First 4 of the year.
Wow, pretty early on, I'd say.
All right, man. Well, thank you again for talking about it here today. And thank you guys for listening to this episode of the Filmsteins. I hope you guys enjoyed that. Remember, we post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday on patreon.com/Filmsteins, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Pandora, YouTube, RIP in Pieces, Google Podcasts. Remember to leave nice comments, thoughts, and ideas on our Patreon as well. Come subscribe, leave nice reviews on our Apple Podcasts. Tell a friend. We appreciate all the support. Thank you guys very much. But until next time, take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
And that's a wrap for today's episode of the Filmsteins. Thanks for tuning in and joining us on our cinematic journey. We hope you enjoyed the discussion and gained some new insights and perspectives in the world of movies. Don't forget to subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform, especially Patreon, at patreon.com/Filmsteins, and follow us on social media for more film-related content. We love hearing from our listeners, so if you have any feedback, suggestions, movie recommendations, or book recommendations, please feel free to reach out to us. Until next time, keep watching, keep loving the magic of movies. This is the Filmsteins, signing off.